In fact, we were the first ones, and that was 25 years ago. Sriharikota,
Yes.
the launchpad was built by us. The cryogenic lines, the gas storage systems were all
Yes.
built by us, and we are very proud of that. You know, we weren't allowed to advertise too much about that because of I think, defense strategic reasons. We weren't allowed to, but we enjoyed that project. We enjoyed it. Hard work is number one.
Yes.
Secondly, I think there has to be a burning desire to succeed. You know, unless you have that, unless you want to achieve something, you know, you'll be one of the many. But I am encouraged to know that now, although a lot of people do go out for higher studies, but a lot of people are coming back.
Yes.
And they're coming back and joining industry and contributing to the growth of our economy, which is really doing wonderfully well.
Hi, folks. It's my immense privilege to be sitting beside Mr. Pavan Kumar Jain, who is a distinguished alumni of IIT Delhi for his entrepreneurial excellence. He's graduate from the class of 1972 from chemical engineering and is the chairman of Inox group of companies. It's an honor to be with you, sir.
Thank you. It is an honor for me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us in your office in Mumbai.
You're welcome anytime.
We were hoping that you could actually make it to IIT Delhi and we could have the conversation there.
Yes, maybe as I said, maybe next month, you know,
Yes.
planning to be there. So I had promised Dr. Rao that I would be seeing him, so I will.
So we look forward to your visit. There are a lot of changes in the campus
I'd love
since
to.
last.
You know, when I went about 20 years ago,
Yes.
things had changed then, but I don't know what it is like now.
But again, going back to the time that when you were in IIT Delhi, around 50 years ago, what was it like back then to be a part of that institute?
Firstly, I must tell you, those were the best years of my life. I did my senior Cambridge from St. Columbus, and we used to have our own IIT entrance classes, you know. St. Columbus used to have their own private IIT entrance exam classes, and in my batch, we were about 50 of us, and almost 45 got in. So we got a pretty good training from our school, and that enabled all of us to get into IIT. Although I sincerely feel that it was a lot easier to get into IIT in those days than it is now.
Sure.
These kids are so bright these days, and there's so much competition that it is really challenging. And I find kids today are more technically inclined. Sure. You know, our education was some textbooks and not so much of practical training. And I think the curriculum now in IIT encourages people to be more research-oriented, more innovative, you know, which is a good thing, you know, which is a good thing. Yes, as I said, they were the best years of my life, and I made so many friends, and we do keep in touch, but not as often as we would like. In my time, most of the people who passed out with me, you know, went to America. They went to,
Yeah.
and very few stayed back. Maybe the opportunities were more then.
Sure.
But I am encouraged to know that now, although a lot of people do go out for higher studies, but a lot of people are coming back.
Yes.
And they're coming back and joining industry and contributing to the growth of our economy, which is really doing wonderfully well.
Yes.
It's one of the best economies today in the world, and we all should be proud. And I'm sure the young kids who are going to graduate from all our IITs will have a lot to contribute in the growth of the country.
Absolutely. Was there a preference when you were chosen to pursue chemical engineering?
Yes.
Was the inclination already there, or what was the motivation behind it?
No, I had made up my mind. Chemical was I wanted to do chemical engineering.
Sure.
I come from a family business. We had an industrial oxygen in those days. It used to be called so. And what happens in families is you are expected to join your businesses.
Yes.
Although people these days go for startups, but we hadn't heard of startups in those days.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, so I had made up my mind that I'll do chemical engineering. So that's how I got it.
Do you also see people not pursuing the core fields now, be it civil, be it chemical? The inclination is more towards product, computer sciences. Do you observe any such trend in, or do you have a contrary opinion to that?
See, these things keep on changing. Depending, computer sciences became a buzzword. There was a time when everybody wanted to do computer sciences, and but there are so many new developers now happening, and although to be quite honest, the brick and mortar industry
Yes.
did slow down for a long time. I mean, you must have heard that in America and in other places, very difficult to get engineers because everybody wanted to go to Wall Street. Everybody wanted to be an investment banker.
Yes.
So there was a time when engineers were hard to come by. But I think that thing has changed now.
Okay.
Kids in America do want to go back into engineering and other higher studies, which is a good thing,
Sure.
Everything moves in parallel.
Yeah.
There comes a time when, something goes up, but it all balances out, I think, in the end of the day. Because a lot of things are happening in the field of material sciences, and so it does attract new people.
Where do you see the industry now heading?
Which industry?
The industry that you speak of, the brick and mortar business industry.
It will always be there. It will always be there. Without brick and mortar, look, firstly, they're the ones who generate the jobs.
Sure.
Look at our automobile industry. That's okay. The techniques of making a car might change, might undergo a drastic change.
Yes.
But ultimately, it's you are making a car.
Yes.
So you would require good mechanical engineers. You would require electrical engineers. You would need good design engineers. So there will be a need for all. And I think brick and mortar will be there to stay. Now look at our defense requirements. Our defense requirements are all brick and mortar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that will attract a lot of people.
Your companies also work with a lot of defense and aerospace.
We do, yes. And in fact, we were the first ones, and that was 25 years ago. Sriharikota,
Yes.
The launchpad was built by us. The cryogenic lines, the gas storage systems were all built by us, and we are very proud of that. We weren't allowed to advertise too much about that because of I think defense strategic reasons. We weren't allowed to, but we enjoyed that project. We enjoyed the project.
What else are you involved in, sir? What is the current thing that takes up most of your bandwidth?
Look, I'm now 72. I'm on the verge of retirement. Not exactly 100% retirement, but I have taken a few steps back. My son, who's also a mechanical engineer, he graduated from Michigan, and he did his MBA from NCIT. So he's pretty much involved in business. So I've taken a back seat, so he has taken the lead.
Yeah.
I keep an overall view, but not on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
My son is now in the forefront, so he looks after these businesses.
What are the qualities of people that you work with, which stand out for you, and which you think the current crop of students should probably imbibe to actually contribute in the sense that you envision?
Look, hard work is number one.
Yes.
Secondly, I think there has to be a burning desire to succeed. Unless you have that, unless you want to achieve something, you'll be one of the many. So I think that is required.
Right.
A burning desire to succeed and the will to work hard.
What does success mean, though?
What does?
What does success mean? What are the parameters for it?
Look, are you talking success from a businessman's point of view, or are you talking from a student's point of view, or a career point of view?
Sir, what I mean is the student who are looking up to you now, this conversation would help them envision a life for themselves, right? They might not know what's out there, and the experience that you probably share with them might help them form that opinion. So, in those terms, as a businessman, as a person who has been in the industry, who has contributed to the nation building, what does success mean?
Seizing of opportunities. India is a big country.
Yeah,
It has so much to offer.
sure.
And if you build, a lot of common sense is required. Common sense is a very important feature of success. Common sense, hard work, and as I said, the burning desire to succeed. There are so many opportunities out there. Sure, there are constraints of finance, there are constraints of so many other kinds of constraints. But if you really want to succeed, I think there are plenty of opportunities in our country. You have to select the right product, do it at the right scale, get the right people to do the right jobs in the right place, I'm sure. And of course, then people management is important. You've got to be able to motivate your team as a leadership. Another important aspect is leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership is very important. And I think today in our country, it's leadership which has taken us to where we are today.
Sure.
So, and that also applies on a corporate level. If the leaders are charismatic, if the leaders can, they have to be good communicators, and they have to not necessarily be, drive people into corners. But I think they should be the ones who should actually motivate the employees.
Right.
So close interaction, good communication is required.
What are the skills that you probably think, in retrospect, obviously, that you gained from IIT, which you have practiced over the years and then refined as well? Anything that stands out for you?
You see, it's the overall grounding. It's the overall grounding, the ability to think logically. And you see, the rest is all up to you. If you're willing to work hard, and you see, I was fortunate. I came from a business family, so it's easy for me to say that.
Sure.
But I think I had the risk-taking ability, which probably helped me in achieving what I have today, whatever little I've achieved today. That now, not everybody can afford to take risks because of so many other reasons, but I was fortunate, I can say that.
Yes.
And lucky, to be quite honest.
As you also speak about opportunities out there, is there a way that you choose your opportunities now? Given whatever the background that you're coming is different, obviously, I understand. Not every student is afforded that in the sense of having a business
Background.
They can take forward, or even understanding, as you speak of common sense or general knowledge or general awareness rather. What is it that they need to look for to make sure that they are opting for the right opportunities?
Firstly, you have to have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
There are people who are very contented. They get jobs, they get good jobs, they get into higher positions, and I mean, there are so many IITians who are now heading, as you know, very prominent roles in some of the largest corporations in US. But and mind you, they're all entrepreneurs in their own way.
Sure.
They came from very humble backgrounds, all of them, most of them.
Yes.
And yet they've been able to achieve so much. And So an entrepreneurial spirit is very important.
Sure.
Is very important. And I think that today's startups, which has become quite, and a lot of these startups have emanated from Indian. A lot of them are being initiated by Indians. They're doing reasonably well.
Yeah.
They're doing reasonably much better compared to some of our other countries.
Sure.
I think next to the US, probably startups in India are probably the most successful. So I think if the entrepreneurial spark is somehow ignited,
Yeah.
for which you have to be lucky, you have to be in touch with the right people, you can.
And what about the people who have now achieved some early success in their entrepreneurship journey, who have built startups, who have achieved funding or are towards profitability, the early stages? What sort of what should they do to ensure the longevity of their
Exactly. That's a very good question. The tendency amongst a lot of these startups is to make quick money. But you still need an idea.
Yeah.
To have a startup, you need to have an idea.
Yeah.
Now, to build upon an idea and take it to a certain level where you get some investors interested and they start investing. But if you just look at the short-term objective of just making money and getting out,
Yeah.
then you'll see the end of that startup. But there are startups who have people who have not looked at the immediate gains
Yes.
and tried to build their companies into a much. There have been several startups who have been pretty successful, and their scale has they've become multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yes.
And not all can, but so if you want to keep on growing your company by sacrificing some of your own private interests, sure you can.
Yeah.
Sure you can.
I was just thinking about the aspect of contributing to the nation as well, right? There are opportunities out there which obviously are self-serving, but at the same time allow you to do the well of other people as well. And I'm sure that your companies also carry forward that vision in their products, in their services.
Yes.
And there is obviously a lot of dealing with different entities, be it private, be it government. How do you take them all on board of a certain line of thought that you might have?
Are you referring to CSR activities and stuff like that?
CSR as well, or the general vision of the company as well, in the collaborations with other organizations?
Yes. I think integrity, ethics and integrity is very important.
Sure.
If you don't have these, then you can forget about it. In the short term, one might succeed, but in the long term, there are groups in India who have survived so long simply because of their good ethics and integrity, and some have collapsed.
Yeah.
I don't want to name. I know so many names who have just who took off like a rocket and then collapsed just because of the lack of integrity and ethics.
Yes.
So ethics and integrity is very important, very important. And you see, what happens is if the leadership demonstrates these qualities, then the people who work for you also follow your example, and that helps enormously. That has a multiplier effect in the performance of the company.
Absolutely. But if someone is acting with conscience, doesn't necessarily mean that the other folks they are collaborating with or working with do come with the same sort of intent.
You're right, not necessarily. But then, as far as I'm concerned, I don't deal with such people.
Right.
I don't deal with such people. So I would like to deal with people who are as open and transparent with me as they expect me to be with them. As simple as that.
Absolutely.
honesty, ethics, morals, all this is very important. These are some of the basic things which I think in all businessmen and individuals must possess.
Sure. But in the age of such huge exposure in terms of information, so many distractions being present, what sort of future do you see for the current generation who is studying in IIT?
See, what really bothers me today, look, I'm not very computer savvy, I'm not very tech savvy, although, but what bothers me today is the emergence of the social media. This has such a destructive power, and kids today do get swayed by what all kinds of nonsense which you have in this sector. And although it has contributed enormously to the general good of to the common good of people, but there's a dark side to it, which I think people at much higher levels should take into account and try and find out ways and means to control it. I mean, you heard so much, about artificial intelligence. It can do great things, but it can destroy humanity.
Sure.
So I'm sure the human race has enough ingenuity to find out where to stop what, but they should be mindful of the fact that it has a very, very destructive potential, and that worries me.
Yeah.
The social media is so grossly misused these days, and it serves no purpose really, if you ask me.
Sure. But
Anything negative in the long run will have a very negative impact on life. And surely, I personally feel that, we have enough intelligent people in this world who will find some solution to all these problems.
yeah, for sure. But how do you keep yourself aligned to what your core values are? Because I'm sure
my own conscience tells me what to do.
Right.
That's it.
Right. So we have also spoken about your legacy as you've built for yourself, and you carry this business forward, and as an IITian as well. IIT is trying to ensure that is passed on to this current crop. So this podcast is called Dil Se IIT Delhi podcast. So if you have something to say, Dil Se, the students who are right now watching, who also aspire to be IITians in the future and are looking up to you as a role model, any advice that you have for them? Dil Se.
Dil se. Work hard. Be modest. And have that burning desire to succeed. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This has been a very inspirational conversation.
I hope so.
We are very humbled and obviously very...
Thank you for coming.
We express our gratitude to you for having us here.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.